Have you ever felt that after a certain age, making real friends becomes almost impossible? And stick around until the end so you can see what our Shanghainese neighbors told us about us. Hi, I'm Chili, a rookie dad, freelance designer. That means I don't have a stable job, just sporadic projects, nothing fixed. Today, I'm inviting you into a normal day. Lunch, a haircut that ends, like it almost always does, with a night walk. That's where I tell you about it for months. Today we start with food. We're going to a Hong Kong-style restaurant. We hadn't been in a while. My wife only works until noon today. It was one of the conditions when they renewed her contract. The creative industry here has been cutting costs. One of the effects, now she works 4.5 days a week instead of 5. Today's that going to pull that entire My daughter's on vacation. We take the chance and we all come to have lunch together. The first time we came to this restaurant was about 3 years ago, right in the middle of lockdown. It's close to Jing'an Temple. The owner is from Hong Kong, but Canadian. That's pretty common. There's a huge Hong Kong community in Canada.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of people from Hong Kong emigrated to Canada, especially before and after Hong Kong returned to Chinese hands in 1997. Cities like Vancouver and Toronto still have entire neighborhoods shaped by that legacy. This restaurant grew a lot since then. It already has 6 locations in Shanghai. This one is still the one we always come to. The place has that Hong Kong diner style. Traditional food, fast, kind of like fast food, made for people without much time. Quick service. This type of restaurant is called Cha Canteen in Hong Kong, literally tea canteen. It started as a more affordable version of the Western restaurants that arrived in Hong Kong during the British colonial era, mixing Chinese and Western food at popular prices. Each dish cost between 30 and 40 RMB, about $4 to $6. The full bill between the 3 of us came out to 100 RMB, about $14. My wife always orders noodles with pork liver. I barely eat liver, so I usually get scrambled eggs with meat. Today I tried something new, a curry with pork chops. It was really good.
Muy caliente.
My wife also ordered noodles with chicken breast and vegetables. My daughter's favorite dish and some rolls, similar to dim sum with a sweet sesame sauce, typical of Hong Kong. And as always, vegetables. In China, when you eat with locals, they're almost never missing. In most of these restaurants, if the dish is rice or noodle based, you can get a free refill. I ran out of rice, asked for more, and didn't pay anything extra. One of the typical dishes, not just from Hong Kong, but from all of southern China in the Guangdong region, is congee, a kind of rice soup. Congee, zhou, is considered a healthy dish in Chinese culture, the local equivalent of what in Colombia would be a beef rib soup for the next day's hangover. We finished lunch. It had been raining, but it cleared up. We are heading to the barbershop. I'm getting a haircut. It's not far along the way, the usually delivery scooters taking over the sidewalk. It really bothers me. They fly by honking, so you get out of the way instead of them being the ones to move aside. China has one of the largest delivery industries in the world. It's estimated that tens of millions of delivery workers operate daily across the country, most of them on scooters or electric bikes. That's why they're so common everywhere, sidewalks included. Along the way, these curbs full of flowers, well kept, that I already showed in another video, one of the traits of each district, the more central or important the district in Shanghai, the more of these flower-lined curbs you see. A super typical Shanghai scene, the fruit shop cat, who's never missing. Getting close to the barbershop, on the corner there was a police officer ticketing a scooter. I didn't quite understand why. The driver had a helmet on and seemed to have everything in order. This barbershop runs on an annual membership, like most in China. My wife has hers 1,000 RMB a year, about $140. That prepaid model is really common here, not just at barbershops, gyms, spas, laundromats. The business collects payment upfront for a discounted package of services and in exchange locks in that guaranteed income. I used to go to a local barbershop, one of those typical Shanghainese ones, where they wash your hair dry without you getting up from the chair. I stopped going. I noticed that when I went alone without my wife, they charged me more just for being a foreigner. As soon as you get here, they wash your hair. I usually bring a photo on my phone and show it to the barber so he can do something similar. While you wait, they offer coffee or cookies. I finish the cut and they wash my head again. After that, you sit down so they can style it. That's the whole haircut experience. On the way out, they gave me these snacks, some fried fava beans, spicy, precious, very similar to the ones we know in Colombia. They're almost exactly the same. My haircut today cost 48 RMB, about $7. Getting close to home, these squirrels that are always going building to building, this time climbing up a cable all the way to the 6th floor. From there, they jump from one side to the other. After dinner, like always, I go out for a walk. Tonight, we took a while to get going. It's already 9:46, and I want to tell you something. It's pretty hot out. Usually, during the walk, I stop and get something at this Family Mart, one of those stores you find all over the city. I got myself a soda. With these videos, I also try to show what this multicultural family is like, Chinese and Latin, with our daughter, 3.5 years old, and how hard it's been to find a job. It's been almost 3 years since my daughter was born. These videos are, above all, a way to keep myself creatively active. This part of the walk is always for reflecting. By the end of the day, I try to hit 10,000 steps. It used to be easier. Walking my daughter to daycare in the morning added about 4,000 steps just by itself. I've gained a fair amount of weight, honestly, especially since my daughter was born. I used to exercise almost every day. Then came the sleepless nights, especially those first years. Now she sleeps through the night, so I try to at least walk my 10,000 steps a day, about 5 kilometers. Since she's on vacation, she spends the whole day with me, and the steps pile up for the night. That's when I try to finish them off. By the end of the night, they're usually cleaning the streets. Mostly leaves, though this time of year barely any fall. The night is really pleasant, not as hot as other nights. It rained this afternoon and that clears the air. These small fruit shops usually carry avocados. Here in Shanghai, they are relatively new. Fun fact, when I arrived in Shanghai back in 2008 or 2009, it was almost impossible to find avocados. These days, you can find them at any neighborhood fruit shop, a small gauge of how much the availability of imported products in China has changed over these 15 years. Back then, it was also easier to make friends. As soon as I arrived, I was studying Chinese. In the end, I didn't learn much, but that's how I landed jobs and also some really good friends. Most of them are gone now. These last 3 years, since my daughter was born, I felt pretty alone in this city. I already talked about this in more detail in another video, so I don't want to repeat the whole story. I'll leave that one out there for anyone who wants to watch it. I think that after 40, it's a lot harder to make real friends. You meet people along the way, sure, but your best friends are almost always the ones you made in school, in college, or before 30. After that age, your circle shrinks down to pretty much just your partner. Making new friends at this age is almost impossible, and I've felt that more than ever lately. And there's something else. Before, when I had a stable job, I traveled to Colombia constantly. Now, with money tighter, we haven't been able to go. It's one of the hardest things I've had to accept. It's been almost 3 years since I've set foot in Colombia. Honestly, I don't think that's changing anytime soon. These videos are also for that, so the people I love and the people who want to know how I'm doing have a way to see it. Here in Shanghai, especially on this night walk, seeing people at restaurants makes me a little envious, especially when I pass by places where people are clearly having a great time. We've been to some of those restaurants, but we can't afford to do it very often either. That's what hits me the hardest, not being able to travel to Colombia with my family. We do travel every year, but to my wife's hometown, in southern Guangdong, usually during Chinese New Year and during the National Holiday Week in October. But outside of those trips, here in Shanghai, it's just the three of us, my wife, my daughter, and me. We don't have anyone else close by. Our neighbors once told us they admired us for that, an older couple. They have a granddaughter who's also on vacation, staying at her grandparents' place. The girl's parents work here in Shanghai, but they don't live in the city. They'd rather leave her with the grandparents. They know she's in good hands, and they trust them without, unlike Newsglow. After this walk of almost an hour, I've hit my 10,000 steps. And with that, this video of a normal day comes to an end. A day where nothing much happened. I just got a haircut. With this new look, I'll say goodbye. What do you all think? Send me your comments. If you have any questions about anything here, about China, I'll gladly try to answer. And if you want to follow this Chino Rolo on his everyday adventures, hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications. See you next time. Bye bye.